Good Tuesday morning. I'm Father Steve from St. Bridget's Hermitage, and this is Moments with the Master. Today is the 14th day of July, 2020, and our readings come from the book of Hosea, chapter 2, verses 16 through 22, Psalms 148, the book of 2 Corinthians, chapter 10, verses 17 through chapter 11, verse 2, and where I'm going to draw my reflections, the Gospel according to St. Matthew, chapter 25, verses 1 through 13. Folks, as always, I encourage you to read those passages for yourself. Find out what the Lord has to say to you today. In today's passage, we see an old story, one fairly familiar to most of us. It's the story of the Lord coming to visit some very dear friends. He's coming to visit the home of Martha and Mary. Over the centuries, we've come to see Martha as the workaholic, Mary, the more contemplative follower of Christ. I don't believe either of those definitions is actually 100% accurate. Read those passages for yourself and come up with your own ideas. So we see the Lord coming into the house of Martha and Mary. And Martha immediately sets about making the meal for the Lord. No doubt she wants to make a fine meal to serve to our Lord. Well, Mary, we see her sitting at the feet of Jesus, listening to his teachings, his parables, enjoying his fellowship. And during the story we see Martha getting fairly angry with Mary. And how many times have we put ourselves in Martha's shoes, whether it's service of the Lord or just our everyday lives? We find ourselves doing much of the work and getting angry because we're alone. Myself, I tend to identify with Martha a little more, but as I've told you so often, I've been taught that Christianity is a verb and not a noun. But as many times as I've told you that, I can't really say I believe that the life of action and work is superior to the life of contemplation and inward growth. I believe that there's room for both, and we have to have both in our lives. In this passage, we see Martha getting really angry, to the point she has to express it to the Lord. And she says to him, "Lord, do you not care that Mary has left me all the work? Tell her to help me." And the Lord gives Martha probably an unexpected answer. One, I don't think she was probably appreciated at the time, but the Lord tells her, "There is need of only one thing. Mary has chosen the better part of it, and I will not take it from her." In other words, the Lord is teaching us here, and Martha and Mary then, that we need to spend some time with Him. Today, that means for us today, a life of prayer, meditation, reading the scriptures, and getting to know our Lord, getting to know what direction He has for us in our own personal lives. Because the Lord wants us to have a real meaningful and serious relationship with Him. I believe the Lord wants us to know what we should believe, but as importantly, or maybe more importantly, why we believe that. And we can really only do that with a serious attention to the scriptures, our church traditions, getting into some serious prayer life with our Lord. Jesus' comments should make us all pause and reflect. What are our priorities in life? Uh, this passage sometimes is a little hard for me because, as I've said, I believe Christian life should be a life of action. But even though the book of James tells us in chapter 22, verses 26, for just as the body without spirit is dead, faith without works is dead. But in light of today's passage, I believe the Lord is telling us we need a balanced life. We need to be spiritually balanced to have a productive and fruitful life. We should ask ourselves some serious questions in light of today's passage. What are our priorities? How do I use my time? Do I just blow it away? Do I work 12 to 16 hours at my vocation and don't have time for even friends or family? Do I spend any time in prayer, meditation, reading the scriptures? Do I spend any time in service to the Lord? Do I spend too much time in service to the Lord and ignore those other duties that life demands? However you answer these questions will give you some kind of insight into your own spiritual walk. Are you out of balance? Have we got off track? I don't believe that the Lord is elevating one part of the Christian walk above the other in this passage. I believe that He's telling us that there's room for both work and preparation and room for fellowship and contemplation. If we see the passage, Christ is really not chastising Martha for making the preparations. What He's chastising her about, what He's giving her something to think about, is that she's become, as we read, anxious and troubled. Anxious and troubled over a meal. And I'm sure that Martha thought it was an important meal. After all, she was making the meal for the Lord. But I think maybe she forgot why she was making it, what the spirit she should have in making it. Is that us today? Have we lost our insight? Have we lost our direction? Have we lost our balance? Are we too busy in our daily lives to have time for the Lord? Or is our work for the Lord making us anxious and troubled? Either one of those questions is time for us to pause and reflect. The Lord wants us to have a balanced life. The Lord wants us to have love and joy in our service. But He also wants us to have time for Him, one-on-one time, where we can build ourselves up and grow. He wants us to have time for Him, that we can tell Him our troubles, tell Him our joys. Tell the Lord our questions. Yeah, the Lord wants us to have a balanced life. In today's culture and our society, sometimes we get off track. We worry about comparing ourselves to others. We worry about what others will think about us. We worry about what we think about ourselves. I believe the Lord is calling us to a balanced life where we can enjoy doing things for the Lord, but we also have time to coming to Him in that quiet time, that alone time, where we can build ourselves up into mature Christians. So today, folks, I want you all to go out and have a balanced life, a joyful life, a complete life. I want you to put on the whole armor of God. Go out there and serve the love of the Lord with all your heart, mind, and soul. Those are my reflections for today. This has been Father Steve from St. Bridget's Hermitage. May the Lord bless and keep you. May the Lord hold you in the palm of his hands until we meet again.